Alright, so the important thing to note about this is it doesn't look like this anymore. No, it's not snowing, it's not ice storms. However, it isn't quite spring yet, but spring is coming. And as we can see, we got some frosty mornings. The birds sure do believe it's coming, and so do I. So we need to get ready. Spring in Minnesota sometimes takes a while to finally kick in, but I think it's going to be here sooner than we think. Let's get busy. Yeah, I know. I mean, living in Minnesota, it's tricky. It's tricky business, right? You look at the forecast and it looks like, oh, it's going to be a beautiful day. We're going to get out and ride today. But is the bike ready? Probably not. So the first thing that probably needs to be done is you need to get the bike out of the garage and give it a once over. And the best way for me to do that is to give it a bath, right? It's been stuck in the garage all winter. It's getting dusty, it's dirty. So let's get it out, let's get it wet, and kind of check some bolts and screws and nuts, make sure everything still works. Probably you're gonna need to charge the battery. So let's test the battery, give it a charge, give it a start after you kind of get it all cleaned up. Warm that puppy up, and let's change the oil. Right? It's cheap. It's kind of easy on most bikes. It's pretty simple to do unless you've got a full fairing bike, and maybe it's a little bit trickier, but it's also probably kind of necessary. So I do that at the beginning of each season. Change the oil, and then we'll change out the spark plugs. Another thing that I like to check out, especially if it's a bike that you bought maybe going into the winter as a project, and you're going to put this bike together and kind of get it up to snuff to get it ready to roll coming into the new season in spring. And the guy that you bought it from says he just put brand new tires on it, and you're kind of looking at the tires, and if they don't look like this, all rotted and cracked, maybe he did put new tires on it. But there's a way to tell how old a tire is. There should be a date stamp on the tire. Motorcycle tires probably only last 5 or 6 years, and if they're over 10 years, they need to be replaced no matter how good they look. It's just a good rule of thumb just to kind of make it safe. So the date code should be somewhere on the tire. It should be it's a 4-digit number. First 2 digits indicate the week. The second 2 digits indicate the year that they are manufactured. So if it's over 10 years old, you got to replace them. Okay, now we got the bike in decent condition, and we're being taunted by the guys out riding bikes ahead of you, right? Like this guy, and then your neighbor drives by, waves, and there you are stuck in your garage thinking about riding your bike because it's going to be 60 degrees, right? But another thing, especially in Minnesota, since we've got winter and we use sand and salt to, make the roads in the winter safer, you gotta understand the condition of the road. Has it been raining to wash the road? Maybe not. Is it just a fluke one day, just jumped right up and now it's 60 degrees and you just gotta get out there and ride? Probably. So if that's the case, make sure you gear up, helmet, jacket, probably some gloves, because even though it feels warm once you get out on the bike, it probably won't feel warm any longer. And then be extremely careful. Roads are probably gonna look like this. A little sand here, a little pothole creation from the snow plows. We got to keep the road crews in business. They plow in the winter, repair in the summer. So make sure wherever you're going to ride, maybe go out in the car first to see how the roads look and really inspect the road. So when you're coming around that corner, you're not surprised by some sand. Or even worse, it's a shady spot and it's only maybe 45 or 50 degrees and that frost is on the road still, and whoopsie, off the road you go. The other thing to consider is the time of day. Sure, we've just jumped back onto daylight savings time, so the days are longer, but they're not as long as they're going to be in the summer. So if you do decide to ride in the daytime, go out, get some dinner or something like that, and then you're going to go back at home at night, you're talking around, at least around us, 7 o'clock, it's going to start getting dark. And the temperatures are going to drop. So if the roads look like this, where they're kind of wet and sparkly, at nighttime, then there's a really good chance that they're going to refreeze. and that sun's at a different angle than what you may have expected or used to because it's your first ride back. So just be careful not to jump the gun and get in some wet, possibly slippery roads driving into the sun where you can't see anything. Now, since it's the first ride of the year, maybe we're going to talk about getting some extra gear, right? A new helmet, maybe a new jacket. And sure, you can run right down to the local bike shop and kind of look around, find some pretty cool stuff, and buy yourself a new jacket, maybe a new helmet. Or maybe you can do like I did earlier this year, where I hopped on the little marketplace, perused up, found something, typed in little, motorcycle helmet. Here's a big old list. Didn't find anything there, check out Craigie's list. Maybe there's going to be something on there. There's nothing wrong with buying something used, right? Especially if it's in good condition. There's no sense of someone throwing something out just because they didn't want it any longer. I'm kind of in that boat with buying motorcycles. And maybe that guy who bought the motorcycle, now he doesn't need that helmet and jacket any longer either. Maybe it'll make it a package deal. You just never know. So just kind of keep that in mind if you're okay with that. Some people don't want to wear something that someone else did. Lastly, hit the road. Be careful. Enjoy spring. Get out there and ride. Feel that air again and have a great time. Hopefully you guys enjoy this one. If you really are interested in what we do over at Ace Cafe Bikes, go check out this video right here. It's going to really show you some of the stuff that we did last year and what we're going to dive into coming again this year. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great one. Go check that video out now.